Willie, I was just looking at it. No dividend declared for the period. So you've got a lot of unhappy monsters in your house. And then you look at it in terms of the difficult environment that you came through, 667 million rand in impairments. True. Has it been worse?
Well, I think the reason for the impairment is because we bought the stocks company in 2008 when everything was at a high.
I was there.
Yeah, and we worked through the process, and we had a discussion with the auditors at the end of the year, and we looked at the market going forward in terms of building, where the building market is going to be, and we just don't see that value is going to be in that business.
Sure.
And it was decided to take an impairment and write off that goodwill to the value of 667 million rand.
That's a huge chop on the wrist.
It is a huge chop on the wrist, but you know, it's also no point of flogging a dead horse. You know, we need to go forward. There's still value in the stocks transaction that we've made at the time, because the business in the UAE, in Dubai,
yeah,
that's still doing very well, and we see that for the next few years it will give us good returns. So yeah, it was not all bad, but sure, in South Africa and the market that we're operating, definitely it's not a nice, promising market that we're looking at.
Yeah, like I said, no dividend, and that loss widening from 149 to 508 million rand. Is that the worst that you will take? Have you gotten all the bad stuff out of the system? Should we look forward to a rosier future?
Well, I think we certainly believe that we've taken the bad stuff out of the system. We have restructured the business. We scaled the business down largely because of the state of the economy we're in. We've got a leaner business, and I think if the market can just maybe pick up its head, and we can see that there's more spend in infrastructure,
yeah,
both private and public spend, yeah, we're ready for it, and we're just hoping that the market will be rather sooner than later.
Yeah. Willie, you and I walk around Sandton, and it's like we're walking in a construction zone. I mean, the buildings that are going up around here, and I'm thinking, you're talking of a difficult trading environment. Who's not spending?
Well, I think what you must understand is that most of those buildings were priced some time ago. That it's taken a while to build these buildings, yeah, but at the moment there are not very many new projects coming to the market. If you look at the shopping centres, if you look at the high-rise buildings, the casinos, all those nice buildings that have been built, there are very few of them left. You know, I think certainly where we see a market, and I trust it will be the case, was in the social infrastructure spend, and that's actually where there's also a big need.
Yeah. I'm going to come back and talk about Cyril Ramaphosa and what he has done for business sentiment around the country. I want to talk about that order book. It's a 14.3 billion rand, and you are saying here 4.9 billion rand of that work is coming from SAS Borders, and we know the risks that come with that. Let's talk about just the size of that order book and where it's coming from. How healthy is it?
I think our order book as it stands is nice and healthy. A large portion of the order...
There's no desperate work in there?
No. We've stopped, let's call it, buying work to keep people busy some time ago. You know, sure, it's not worth doing that. So what we're looking at now is good order book, good clients that can pay, and that we have an order book that we can execute on time and get returns from that.
It's composition?
It's composition. It's primarily from what we now have combined our structures and our roads and pipeline business into one business unit called construction. A large portion of that, 9 billion of that, comes from that business unit.
Okay.
And we've recently, when I say recently, over the past 6 months, been awarded a number of open pit contract mining projects.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we had to spend a lot of money on capital equipment, on yellow toys, to make sure that we execute that properly. But we've also now stopped that or curtailed that, because we just can't keep on spending money on one particular division. And that division happened to be the most profitable division in the business. So yeah, but then there's a large portion, no, a reasonable portion from the building sector, and from our building business unit. Most of that, more than half of that, is from outside the country, right, where we are profitable. And it's the first time since listing of this company where the operating profit is more than 50% of the profit of the company.
Wow.
From outside South Africa.
Right.
Yes. So
is that healthy?
Healthy. Good order book, yes.
Okay. I mean, is it healthy to be getting half of your operating profit from outside the country, given the vagaries that we know contained many projects that we get into Africa?
I think
the rest of the continent, sorry.
Sure. I think that we must understand that we almost hit a perfect storm in the time where there were changes in governments and presidency of 3 countries, Nigeria, Zambia, and Mozambique at the same time.
Right.
And those presidents, when they came into power, they stopped spending.
Yeah.
And then also they stopped paying. But for a period now of 2.5 years, they're gradually starting to pay us back that money. They're reducing the debt.
Okay.
But we are still operating in those countries, but we primarily work for private clients, and they pay us in hard currency, and we get good returns.
Sure. 2 questions before I let you go, Willie. I want to talk a little bit about industry margins.
Yes.
What are you seeing in terms of trends? As you said, in the past, you guys had to resort to what you called buying work. Are we seeing an improvement to healthier levels here?
Certainly in the building sector, we don't. That is why we took this impairment and wrote off the goodwill, because we don't see that market is going to improve in terms of margin.
Sure.
But in terms of the construction work, when I say construction work, the road projects we do outside the country, the civil work, the concrete work we do in South Africa, we see a nice uptick in work from the mining sector and the various minerals. We see in platinum, we see in coal, we see in copper, we see in iron ore. And traditionally that's been our good market for us. And those tenders are starting to come through, the awards are starting to come through. In terms of our mechanical business, the same. They're also linked to minerals. Oil and gas is a bit down, but I'm sure at some stage that will come up again and pick up again. And but at the moment, we have got a reasonable order book. We scale down the business. We're ready for growth. We just need to have some infrastructure spend, and we'll be there.
Is Cyril making a difference?
I'm sure.
Has he made a difference?
I'm sure it has made a positive difference to the atmosphere of what the people feel about the country. That's certainly my humble opinion. But I think in settling down the various departments, like the Department of Waste and Sanitation, Health and all that, I think they try to settle to see what they need to take forward. And I think once that is in place, they will make a positive contribution to roll out more infrastructure work.
But it's not like you're getting a flood of work yet.
No, that is not yet, but be patient.